Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Be sure and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Hey, today I want to go over the 5 must-have baits for early springtime fishing. Grass is one of the best ways to fish this bait.
Over the structure.
Let's jump right to it. First off, there's certain baits that just always seem to gravitate to my boat deck when I'm fishing this time of year. One of those baits is the Yumdinger. This is the 5-inch version. It's a very simple bait. It's just a straight stick bait. This is green pumpkin with a chartreuse tail. I try not to vary too much in colors because I want to make sure that I'm not overcomplicating things. This time of year, a lot of times the more simple you keep it, the more bites you're going to get. This bait's great because there's so many ways to rig it. From Texas rig, weightless, Texas rig with a sinker, wacky rig, Nico rig, which is a wacky with a nail in the end. You can always throw this on a shaky head and also put it on a hard head. So there's a lot of ways to fish this bait. So it's probably my #1 go-to anytime I'm fishing. From the months, I say early spring, but from the months of late January to April. One of the baits that, it's a new bait, fairly new, but it's become one that I've relied on a lot here lately, and that's the Norris Speed Inn. This is chili bowl color, which is great for this, anytime those fish are eating on crawfish, early springtime. This bait, you can see, has a wide angled lip. And for me, a couple of the key features of the bait are, one, that it has a tight wiggle, so it wiggles slightly. It doesn't get out here like this, but you can hear it has a really good low-toned knock to it, which I think keys a lot of strikes that way. But this wide lip will allow this bait to deflect off cover really well. So like grass is one of the best ways to fish this bait. Over wood, around wood, another good way to fish it. But that's a bait to me that anytime I'm fishing, when they're feeding on crawfish this time of year, I'm gonna have that bait tied on. Another bait, once I call it, it's an early springtime bait, but it's the later half of that early spring. This is the Booyah Melee, and this is just a bluegill color. I've got a 3-inch Yum Pulse swim bait on the back of it. It's just a really good bluegill imitator. So anytime you're fishing around boat docks, around vegetation, anytime you're throwing it around wood, it's a great bait in the springtime. And a lot of it determines also by where in the country you're fishing at, when is early spring for where you're fishing. Meaning if you're in the south, early spring can be January. If you're up there in the north, it may be late March, even early April. So that Melee is another good offering to have on the deck of the boat in the early spring. One thing to consider is a creature style bait, and this is the LaRueiffle Bug. It's a great, this bait has a lot of places to fish it too, but one of my favorite things to do with this bait is throw it on the biffle hard head. It's just a swinging style jig head. You just throw it out there and wind it back in. It's very simple, but that's not the only application for this bait. It has really good action out of these legs. It has a big profile for the size of bait that it is. This is a 4 1/4 inch bait. They also make it in a smaller version and a larger version. So it's a great bait to flip, whether you're fishing bushes, docks, things like that. Springtime, they like bulky baits for some reason. I don't know why, but they do. So the LaRueiffle Bug is another great offering. Last but not least, a lot of times in the spring, especially when the water's still cold, so early spring varies, but when that water's still less than 55 degrees, a jerkbait is a great bait to throw. This is the Smithwick Elite 8, and this to me is it's a bait that you can throw your crawfish colors and your crawfish patterns, but fish are always feeding on shad. If you have a good windy, sunny day, the jerkbait can be a great opportunity to catch a really big fish. Shad pattern for when the water's clear or when you have high skies, but also have something like the clown handy for if you have stained water or cloudy skies and you're trying to get a little bit more body out of the bait, because you can tell right there, this one's a whole lot more transparent than this one right here. So these are just 5 baits, 5 things that I feel like you need to have in your boat. Again, there's so many ways to fish each and every one of these baits, and we'll go through these different setups and different styles to rig these baits, line sizes, things like that. We'll go over that in another video, but I wanted to give you my 5, I'm going to call them most important baits to keep in the boat and on the deck anytime you're fishing once those fish start that migration in the early spring. I hope these are some baits that you'll give a try. I know they've helped me catch a lot of bass in tournaments and just fun fishing. So give them a try next time you're out there. Pre-spawn baits, you better have them.